Get moving. Hi, welcome back to both myself and to you.
Who's this strange boy?
I'm back. It's only been like a week.
Let's
dive right in.
Strange boy. There's 3 episodes though where you aren't on it. What number is this?
97. I don't know what the title is going to be either. I just kind of gave it a placeholder title for now. We'll see what happens.
It should be called Logan's E3 Adventure.
That works for me, and we can
Logan's excellent.
Like
you gotta do Bill and Ted's. You gotta do Bill and Ted somehow. Like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So Logan Excellent E3 Adventure or something.
Bill S. Preston and Theodore Logan. That's Bill and Ted's name. Let's go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 97 of Millennial Gaming Speak. I am your jet-lagged and very sleepy boy host who has returned from Los Angeles. I am Logan Moore, and with me this week is the man who held down the fort in my absence, Max Roberts. Hi, Max.
Hi, I did hold down the fort. I gotta learn all sorts of fun new tricks about holding down the fort. It was fun.
About starting Google Hangouts on YouTube or whatever.
That part was easy. It was the part of ending the broadcast that I forgot sometimes. Actually, only the first time.
You just gotta hit the end broadcast button.
I know, but I forgot to.
Or stop broadcast.
And it was just, we talked for like a minute. I was like, oh, this is still on YouTube.
Yeah. So I'm back. Back at home.
Back, nice, baby, with a vengeance.
I could have done way more E3, except for the part where I don't think my feet could have. It was a ton of fun though. I really enjoyed going, and still working on a lot of stuff. So keep an eye out moving forward. So for 97, this is just going to be more E3 talk. We're not going to break down the conferences or anything like that, like Max did. So we've got a day 1, 2, and 3 breakdown, pretty much, that we have labeled as Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo breakdowns, but he also talks about Bethesda and Ubisoft and EA in the middle of those as well. So you can go find all of those. If you're listening to the MP3, you can go find it in our feed. It'll be before this episode, obviously, because that's how iTunes and podcast feeds work. But for this, so I guess we're just going to talk about what I saw and what I did and all that kind of good stuff, similar to the PSX episode, except we'll try not to go 3 hours.
Logan's E3 Adventures, E3 2017.
Yes. So I don't know where you want to start. So we've talked about going chronologically. Again, this is a numbered episode. We usually have our segments and stuff, blah, blah, blah. We're going to toss that all out the window this week. Actually, okay. Before we do that, I want to ask you one thing. You've been playing Horizon.
I have been playing Horizon.
I want to finally know what you think about that.
I think it's fun. It's good. It feels really good. I like the combat. I like robot animals. I wish there was a little more variety with the robot animals. But
have you gotten into the second biggest part of the map yet?
No,
yeah, you'll be fine once you get over there.
I just made it to Day Tower.
I can't remember what that is. I just know that there's when you're going into the second half of the map in that game.
It's the Sun People place. I'm on my way there.
Big city?
Huh?
The big main city in the game or whatever?
Yeah, Meridian.
Okay, so you just passed the wall that divides the 2 areas.
Yeah, I just saved to them from the corruptor.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So then as soon as you get into that second area, there's a lot new creatures that you'll start running into.
I hope so.
And the landscapes start to diversify themselves a little bit more as well. The second part of that game's way better, I think.
So far it feels good. It's a good game. It hasn't crossed the threshold into great yet in my mind. It feels like a Ubisoft game, and I don't mean that in a negative way, term of endearment. It's a lot of things I can check off the list on the map, going around looking for vantage points and collectibles and things like that, trying to chip away at the trophies. It's a fun game. It's a good game. We'll keep going. I think I'm like 15 hours in. That's what the clock says. So after that, I'm going to play Wolfenstein, and then I'm going to play Shadow of Mordor.
Good choices. Both of those. They're only $10 too.
They were $10. It's a good sale time. So
good decisions
it's
there.
good.
Yeah.
Horizon is good.
I think I mean, I'm interested to hear what you think once you get a little deeper into it, because like I said, I do think the second part of that game really started to click with me like way more. I was like, I mean, from the sound of it, I was more in on just the first 10 or 15 hours than you sound like you are right now. So maybe it was just something that resonated with me a bit more. But I do think the second half of that game is objectively better because you get all of your weapons, you start learning how to use them all in conjunction with one another, you start running into new enemy types.
You also have to think, I'm playing this post Breath of the Wild.
I don't know how big of a deal that is, honestly, because I was
I'm
about to
finding
bring
it
that
to
up
be
as
a
well.
little. I'm finding it to be kind of a deal. I don't know about big deal, but a deal. I find it doesn't reward my experimentation as much, and it tells me no more often than I'd like. Like, you can't do this, or you can't go that way. You have to do it this way.
I really think there's a ton of experimentation there between all the weapons. More
I haven't
so
found.
than Breath of the Wild in a lot of ways. So Breath of the Wild you can interact with a little bit more, but I never felt like the combat was super complicated in Breath of the Wild. I feel like there's way more experimentation in Horizon with that.
I'm not finding it so yet. I only have 4 weapons. I have my bow. Well, I guess not counting bow and
I was
not
gonna say,
counting the
what do you have?
spear.
2 bows? I usually carried like 2 bows in that game.
I have the same bow from the beginning. I haven't gotten anything new yet that was worth
Should
my
definitely
time.
buy some new things at that. If you got to that midway hub, like the gate between the two areas, you should definitely just go and buy some new weapons right now.
I'm waiting to find a better bow. I haven't found a better bow yet.
You got to buy one.
Yeah,
I don't think you
like in the
just find
shops,
one out in
there's
the
no.
wild.
No. Yeah, the shop hasn't had anything better.
There should be in that walled area. There should be a dude who has like way better weapons. Because I remember when I got to that
Yeah,
point, I talked to some guy there, and he had like
I
purple
hope so.
tier weapons.
I haven't talked to anyone there yet, but I have a bow. I have the trip caster, so the one where it's like shoots electric wires out.
Yeah,
I have the one that ties the robots down, like it you
rope
anchors them.
caster.
Rope caster and the sling,
The sling's pretty good.
throwing ice and electricity.
The sling's pretty good. You got to use that. You
I
got to
like the
know how to
sling.
use the sling pretty well in conjunction with your bow to take down some of the bigger enemies in the game. The sling's actually really
Yeah, like
cool, I think.
yeah, I'm using the sling to like hit fire blowbacks, and then my bow to finish them off once they have their elemental weakness.
Mhm.
I'm having fun with it. Just it's good. I
I
like it
really
a
think
lot.
it's that neck and neck with Breath of the Wild for me so far. Uh, I would have to think about it for a little bit, but I'm really digging that. Plus the DLC is coming out later this year, I think. Or did that
They
get a date?
said this year.
Okay,
They
so
just
I'm
said this
stoked to go
year.
back to that then. Hopefully they increase the level cap because
It's
that is the one
actually
thing I really,
on
really want.
sale right now.
Yeah, I assume it'll
$15
probably
for
be
PS
like
Plus
that.
members.
I assume it'll probably be like that leading up to release. It seems like that's how most pre-orders actually are. Um, I have not been playing much, obviously, because I've been gone. I played Psychonauts VR finally last night. I don't need to go into
I
a
think
big
you've actually
spiel
been
about
playing
that
a
one.
lot. You've been playing a lot,
Um,
just not stuff at home.
I mean, yeah, true, but they've been 5-10 minute demos or 20-minute demos or so. Um, but we'll get to those as we go through. So E3, I'm still recovering, sort of. I was really tired yesterday and the day
I
before.
bet.
The jet lag or whatever, I guess, hit me hard Friday when I got home, and I'd never really experienced that before because normally flying back and forth, I've actually been pretty okay. But I guess the extended stay out there this time may have messed with my head a little bit more. I don't know. All
And
I know is that
working.
when I got home Friday night, I crashed hard, and then I slept for like 13, 14 hours. So that was needed. But then when I woke up Saturday morning, I was still exhausted. So I
Yep.
was very
In your
tired, and I
bones.
slept a bunch last night. Um, I don't know. How do you? I'm sure you have 10,000 questions written down or
I
in your
just
head
thought
that
we'd
you want to
start.
ask.
I just thought we'd start with Saturday when you got there.
So Saturday, yeah, we'll just go chronologically. Saturday was actually pretty laid back, honestly. So we got there. Okay, I want to say this too before we get too deep into everything else. Thank you so much to DualShockers for allowing me to go as part of the website this year and represent them out there and have all these meetings and do all this stuff, because I would not be able to talk about all of this stuff on this podcast or anywhere else, or have been able to experience that stuff without them. So I am eternally grateful to everybody over there that allowed me to go out to LA and represent the website and work with some great people while I was out there. And I think we all worked really hard and made some good connections. And again, like, I encourage you to go read the website. We're going to have, there was a lot to do out there, so we weren't able to get it all done actually at LA. So we will have a ton more stuff going up throughout the week. So I definitely encourage you to keep an eye on the website, and I'll be tweeting out anything that I write up specifically.
Yeah, you already have up a Wolfenstein 2 preview, a Crackdown 3, and a Battlefront 2, correct?
Yeah. So I got those 3 previews done, which you can go check out on the site. But I'm going to have a couple more up throughout the week. I don't know. I'll have
read the Wolfenstein one for sure, because it has a great pun in it.
Yeah, there's I made sure to try to include that. But yeah, again, thank you so much to DualShockers for that, because I don't know, it was something I'd wanted to do my whole life, and I was very glad that I was finally able to with them and the site. And shout out to everybody who was at home with the website, who was covering all the conferences and stuff like that, because I think they worked 10 times harder than we did out there actually at E3. I was really proud to work with all those guys and put together the content we did all week. So very, very happy to be a part of that team. Saturday. So Saturday, flew out there, left here around 7 a.m. Eastern time, landed out there around 8:30, I guess, local time. In
time
LA.
Travel.
Yeah, time travel. Weird thing. Immediately, so I went and dropped my bags off at the place I was staying at, and we immediately booked it over to EA Play. Got there, we got in, we went to the press conference.
Were you all like, were all your flights in sync? You obviously all weren't flying out of Indianapolis.
No. So it was only myself and another person who were able to go to that press conference. In total, our team on the ground there was 4 people. One of our other people was flying in Saturday morning as well, so he wasn't able to go to EA Play. One of our other people had gotten in a day before me, but he lives in California, so it was a little bit easier for him to get to LA earlier, and I think he stayed with some friends in town. And then our last person didn't show up until later Sunday evening. Okay. So we weren't all really together as a group until Monday. But yeah, we got there, went to the EA press conference. It was cool. I mean, I liked it because I liked seeing all the Battlefront gameplay and stuff like that. I wish they weren't doing the esports narration over the top of it the whole time. That was kind of obnoxious.
All 30 minutes of it.
I don't even think it was 30 minutes. It seemed closer to like 20 to me. I was checking my watch. 30. Maybe I was it? It
was 30.
The 30 minutes didn't bother me. Like, if you wanted to duck out at that point, obviously the last part of like, they didn't do anything after that. So if that wasn't your cup of tea, you could have easily stopped watching. I think it was fine for them to show it off that much. But yeah, so I thought the conference was fine. I mean, more of a focus on what's coming out the rest of the year rather than 2 or 3 years into the future, which I don't really know which side of the fence I'm on with this whole thing right now, because you've got some of these big developers and publishers doing the let's focus on only the rest of the year thing. And then you've got the Sonys and a couple others saying, let's look way far in the future. Actually, it's really only Sony that I think is doing that at this point. Ubisoft to a degree.
Nintendo has a couple of games that they showed off that were far
but
away.
Even those at least were dated. Like Sony's press conference last year, like they showed off like 3 or 4 games that don't even have dates.
Still,
yeah. Well,
no, still.
No. I mean, God of War. I mean, Death Stranding's really the only one. I'm talking about last E3 too. I mean, I know there's The Last of Us as well.
There's no Detroit. There's no date for Spider-Man. There's no date for Days Gone.
Didn't get a date too. Jeez, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of games that don't have dates.
I forgot about Days Gone. So
Dreams.
I don't know. Dreams is dead. We've known Dreams is probably dead for a very long time.
They tweeted out they're still working on it.
Man, just cut ties. Let's go on to something else.
Cut the cord.
I thought EA's press conference was fine. A Way Out looks dope, dude. Like I am like totally all in on that game.
That was the best surprise of that show.
I think it looks super unique, and I haven't seen a game that different in a really long time that caught my attention because of the way it's being played. So I'm really interested in checking that out whenever it comes out. I think that's early 2018. As far as other things there, what else showed up at that press conference? No Amy Hennig, no Visceral, no Respawn. None of that stuff showed up.
There was the
Star Wars wise
45-second teaser for Anthem. Said check out Microsoft on Monday or Sunday.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later on.
Microsoft.
They had those two. Speed. They had the three sports games. Need for Speed was 6. 7 was Battlefront. What was the 8th?
I think that was it. I got my notes right here.
Well, they had 8 games. It was
they had
I cannot remember.
Madden. Battlefield 1 DLC.
It was Battlefield 1. It was Battlefield 1 DLC, yeah, which looks cool. I'm totally in on that. I don't know if I'll pick it up, but we'll see. It looks really good. I guess Battlefront was really the only other notable thing to talk about, which, like you said, there is a preview up on DualShockers.com that you can check out for that. In short, really thought it was good. The third person feels better to me this time, which I didn't play the last Battlefront in third person. I primarily played it in first. But I thought the third person felt better, which was one thing I really didn't mention in my preview article that I did with Tomas Franzesi. Good. It felt better. The scale of the battles was great. I love the prequel era stuff, like playing as the droids and the Roger and all that good stuff.
Roger.
I was it looked amazing. Like we were playing on PCs.
It looked good on the stream, and this was over my terrible Wi-Fi and 1080. And
somehow they made it look even better, dude. I really don't know how, but it looked fantastic.
Frostbite, baby. It's got the power.
But yeah, that was Saturday for the most part. After that, we kind of went back to our place and wrote some previews. And I guess so the only other thing I guess really noteworthy, Kingdom Hearts trailer dropped, which looks good. We're getting more info in like three weeks or so.
Mm-hmm. New world, they said.
How you feeling about that?
I feel like, I mean, really, all they've ever shown is Olympus and Twilight Town.
They've got the Rapunzel world too, or the Tangled world.
They've shown snippets of that, yeah. And then we know Big Hero 6 is in the game.
6 is a thing, yeah.
We haven't seen that in motion.
I'm fine with them, honestly, world-wise, holding their cards close to the chest until
I don't really mind
release.
I don't want to know
because I like being surprised by that stuff.
I'm curious how far along the game actually is, because I see it being
I'm hearing rumors from some people who are saying that the game's release window is at least going to be announced at this D23 thing, which would be really surprising. But that's what I've at least heard a couple different people say.
I see it early 2019.
I mean, I think it'll be 2019 as well, but I don't know.
They'll probably say late 2018, and then it will get delayed.
It sounds like the D23 thing, they're going to do a somewhat big blowout for it, though. Like they really made it sound like that's going to be a big thing that they're going to show off. So I don't know. The new trailer was good. So. I like the whole focus. Like I didn't know what the story was really about. I don't know if this is something that happens at the end of Dream Drop, but obviously Sora's trying to bring back Roxas, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah, that's Dream Drop kind of stuff. You need to play that.
Okay, so I
understand
and play that. So I don't know. There's a couple.
I forget that you haven't played
to fill there.
I forgot.
Yeah, like I said, I almost bought it yesterday. It's $40.
You should.
I decided not to.
Yeah, I'm very interested in the story. It raised a couple of questions for me as far as like how are they going to deal with Xehanort? But yeah, it's shaping up.
Looks dope. Looks really good. I'm excited for it. The one thing I'll say about it too, this cut of footage we saw looked much more complete than the last time we saw the game. Like you actually had some things on the HUD this time. It actually looked like it was
Done.
actual footage.
It also
they were showing us, which made me
confirmed
feel.
that your party can be bigger than 3 people, so you don't have to replace Donald constantly.
Oh, did they? Who else was in your party?
Hercules.
I didn't notice that. Hercules is in your party? I didn't even notice that.
His icon was on screen, and you can see him in the background doing some stuff.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, about time that happens. Only took, I was gonna say 3 games, but I guess in reality it's been a lot more.
And like 8 or
I've
9.
wanted him in my party since the first game. It looks good though, man. Like I'm excited for it. What's funny is we almost went to that orchestra thing too. Like we were talking about it.
I would have gone, but you know me.
I mean, tickets were like $80 or something.
I
so
would have done it.
I don't know.
But again,
we kicked her.
I'm diehard.
But decided not to at the last second. I mean, we had stuff to cover too. That was the thing. Like we went home and worked on most of our EA things that night as well. So I don't know. It was tough to manage.
I hope it makes its way down to Florida.
Or not Saturday. I think it is actually going to Florida. You live next to Disney, so I'm sure you'll get something.
I hope so, because we have a big new theater down here, and actually one of the theaters in the building is called the Disney Theater.
Yeah, so you'll get something down there at some point.
That's where I saw the Pokemon Symphony.
But yeah, Sunday, I guess. You want to go that?
Yeah, Sunday.
Sunday was interesting. Sunday was a lot of walking, but Sunday was really, really actually like maybe one of my more favorite days we had there. So Microsoft, I still think they had the best showing personally, and I know that
I'll say this: pound for pound, they had the best press conference. It was not my favorite, but pound for pound, the best.
I think it really was the best. And I know some people are saying stuff like, oh, Xbox One X price point is sucky. And the games they're showing aren't even technically exclusive, all of them, and blah, 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 blah. And they didn't even release any new first party IPs. Yeah, like I get it. Like there's some complaints to be had. That said, I don't think anybody really ran away with the press conference thing this year. And the thing I said to you when I called in was that Xbox's press conference made me excited for Xbox this fall and early next year, which is really something that Sony hasn't done. And honestly, Nintendo to a degree as well. Like I'm stoked for Odyssey, and like I even think like Xenoblade 2 looks really good and stuff like that as well. But again, those are like only like, I mean, everybody's been praising Nintendo's got a good one big notable game out every month. Like that's good and all, but like, where are the cracks being filled in? Like I can list like 10 games I'm excited to play on Xbox this fall.
I mean,
so I don't know,
but those games that you're excited to play on Xbox could be played on PlayStation.
Yeah, and I get that, but how long are you gonna have to wait? See, that's my thing. Like they're games that
talking about. I thought you were referring to like Assassin's Creed and Wolfenstein.
No, like PlayerUnknown's will probably come to PlayStation at some point, but because it's on Xbox first, I will purchase it on Xbox, and that's gonna be where I will play that game. Stuff like that. Like they've got some indie titles and things like that coming to Xbox as well. They sound like they're going to be available first on Xbox and probably down the road on PlayStation, similar to like an Inside or something like that. But because it is going to be first on Xbox, that is going to be where I will play and purchase it. So that's good for them. Like, I mean, the timed exclusivity, like I get it. Like you can have your complaints about it, but some of those games look like games I want to be there day one for. And because of that, I will purchase them to play on my Xbox. So that's good for Microsoft. Where do we even, I don't know what I really want to.
I got you.
Stay with this one.
I got you. Bro.
Well, okay. So
give me your hot takes. Give me your take on the Xbox One
X. I already called in for this, so we don't really have to go too deep into this one.
That's fair.
What I was gonna get at. Again, like I think it was the showing they needed personally for their company and for their brand. It was important for them. Like I came in really trepidatious with their press conference. Like I was concerned. Like I don't know, man. I don't know how everybody else felt, but I was like very hesitant coming into this press conference, and I felt like they had a little bit of everything for everyone. So I'm excited. I'm excited for them moving forward. I think this is what they needed, and there's still a lot of haters out there, but they are.
Haters gonna hate.
Phil's caught a lot of flack because he's said some things in the past few days, like we don't want to show trailers for games that are 2 or 3 years out, and everybody's been complaining about, oh, what about Scalebound? You guys did that, and then you canceled it, and like blah blah blah, like all those other games. Point one and two, like it is like a ship, like it took them a very long time to turn out of the course that they were on, like that takes months and years for them to get out of the projected path that they were on. He has really turned the ship in a new direction. I think people have just had to give them time, and I think this press conference was the first showing of that.
Right.
I don't know, the Xbox One X, it is expensive. Like I get people's frustrations or complaints with that. But we'll see. I really still think that's a console for the long term, more so than the right now. Like I think that console will be around for a while. Yeah, because I think the PS5 will come out and just completely make the Pro irrelevant. Whereas I think the Xbox One X will have longer legs and will become the S version at some point once Microsoft releases another console to go past that One X. So I thought they did good though, dude. Like I thought it was what they needed. Plus the third-party games. And I know third-party games like aren't a huge deal, but they had some good ones on their stage, dude. Like arguably my 2 favorite games of the show were on their stage this year too, like Assassin's Creed and Shadow of War both. Like I played both of those games and they're each phenomenal. So I thought they did great.
What about that Bethesda?
So Bethesda, it threw a heck of a party, dude. Like holy crap. That was maybe one of the best parts of the entire week was that party. The conference was shorter than expected. Obviously, I'm fine with that though. Like we knew what to expect. Like here's the thing I didn't understand about the Bethesda backlash is that Nintendo gets praised for their directs and things like that, but then maybe it didn't play as well on the East Coast where you guys were at and you were staying up late for it. I can understand that. But Nintendo gets praised for these like short 20, 30-minute directs that they have all the time. To me, that was pretty much what Bethesda just came out and did. It was just a direct, which is fine because they are a smaller publisher. And I think that type of model and that type of presentation fits more along with their company right now. Especially as they're in like more of a transition year.
Besides the timing, as far as you're right, East Coast being up for midnight for it, another part is we kind of know what we get when we go into a direct, and we didn't know what we were necessarily getting with Bethesda. And I think some people's expectations, some expectations were way beyond like what they should have been. I think people were like Elder Scrolls 6 and all the stuff. It's like, no,
that game's not in production. That as we have found out the past few days, they've not even started on that. I forgot they did have 2 new IPs that Bethesda Game Studios has been working on. See one of them, but I think they're fine. Honestly, like, and I give Bethesda way more credit too because everybody's like, oh, we knew Wolfenstein, The Evil Within. Who cares? Who cares? Dude, both of those games are coming out this year. I mean, you can say what you want about the games themselves being expected. I did not expect either of those release dates. That is awesome.
Yeah, dude, no, Bethesda really has been championing Wolfenstein. Bethesda has really been championing, like, reveal game, it's out in 6 months. They've been really good about these kind of turnarounds. I think the most recent games that didn't meet the 6-month turnaround were Dishonored and Prey, but those were like out within a year. Particularly Prey. It was one E3 and then it came out right before this one.
They did the same thing with Doom the year before as well. Where it was like they shut it off and then it was out the following May. So
yeah, so they're really good about keeping things close to the chest and then announcing them and then they're out fairly quickly as compared to some things like God of War was announced last year and it's not even out until next year or and that's just one example. So they're really good about that. So I'm actually not surprised they didn't reveal their new IP because as far as their current trends go, that would mean it'd be out before next E3 and I just don't think it is.
And like I said, like they definitely, I'm fine with them coming out and doing this every year though. Like if this is how they want to be moving forward to just be like, hey, we're going to have a presence at E3, but we're obviously not on the same size or scale as Microsoft or Sony or even an EA or Ubisoft. So we're not even going to try to have these 60 to 90 minute 2-hour press conferences. We'll just come out and we'll show you what we have, but that's going to be it. I'm totally fine with that. Like that is a fine model for me for what they can do at E3 because I think they are a big enough publisher to still say something every year around this time. but yeah, like they don't need to try to drag it out. Like imagine if they had tried to drag it out and then or
Oh,
if
if they
they
dragged it out with the games they had, it would have been awful.
yeah. So I thought the way they did it, like, because again, like I was disconnected from the internet a lot throughout the week, but it was like, man, that was so short, man. I can't believe they even came here. Why did they have that? And it's like, well, would you prefer it for them to have dragged it out into an hour and then you're sitting around complaining about the pacing and how long everything lasted? Like you got to pick and choose. And I thought what they did was smart for what they had to show.
Yeah, and another thing I think about the Bethesda one, and you can speak more to this, is I also feel like that was one that was much better if you were there for it. Not so much for the actual 30 minutes itself, but the event surrounding it with Bethesda Land and all that stuff.
Yes, and Pete Hines made light of that, like saying, like, "Are you guys having a good time? Well, you better because I'm floating the drink bill for it." Like, dude, that place was that was seriously maybe one of my favorite things throughout the entire week. So if you weren't there, you have no idea about the party aspect of it. The doors opened like 3 hours before the press conference or so. We didn't get there right away. I think we got there like 2 hours before it started. And they had, like they showed on their invitations, which you probably saw throughout the internet and the whole Bethesda Land thing, there were separate parts of this place that they had set up that were dedicated to each of their big notable games. So they had like a planetarium set up for Prey, and inside there they had an open bar and an entire candy bar where you could just go throw a bunch of candy into a bag and get out of there. They had a Fallout section where they were giving out free Nuka-Cola left and right. They had like 3, 4, 5 open bars set up throughout the place where you could just get whatever the heck you wanted. They had a Vault Boy statue set up.
It was like Disney for Bethesda.
It was like Disneyland for Bethesda. They had a Ferris wheel set up as well, which was super cool. They were giving out ribs at the Doom area. They were giving out mugs of beer and turkey legs at the Skyrim area. There was just a ton of cool stuff there, dude. Like it was such a good party. And then after the show, I don't know if they said it on the stream or if he just said it to us and the stream ended. But as soon as they revealed Wolfenstein and The Evil Within 2, they opened up 2 new sections of the park, or whatever you want to call it. And one of them was like a haunted house type thing where you walked in and they were serving ice cream and champagne. And then the Wolfenstein area was the diner from that trailer where you walked in and they had people from In-N-Out there serving In-N-Out burgers and fries, as well as strawberry milkshakes, which from the trailer, which the soldier came in and asked for. So it was really cool, dude. Like the party aspect of it was freaking awesome. Like it was really one of my favorite things throughout the entire week that we went to. Being there was so much fun, even though it was very cramped. But just the party aspect of it was amazing. Bethesda knows how to throw a party. I can't imagine how much money that cost them as well. Because
you don't imagine.
Well, the funny thing was I brought it up to my friend who I was there with. I was like, haven't people been like concerned about Bethesda because Prey didn't sell super well and neither did Dishonored? And like,
are you kidding me? Bethesda's doing fine financially.
They're fine, obviously. But that was the thing. Everybody's like, oh man, I'm kind of concerned about Bethesda. Prey's already on sale. It didn't sell super well, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, dude, they have Elder Scrolls and Fallout. I think they're fine, which is Skyrim still has a lifespan like 5-6 years later.
We got 2 new versions of Skyrim announced at E3 this year.
I think they're fine. I think they'll be okay. I'm glad Doom VFR is coming to PlayStation VR, though, dude. That's pretty cool.
I'm excited.
We'll see how the movement works. It was kind of when I saw the jump point thing. VR still has to figure out movement, man. That's the one thing.
My favorite one so far has been Batman, the teleport jump thing.
That's how most of them are doing it, and I'm fine with it. But I don't know, for like a quick reaction shooter, like
we'll see how Doom works out.
That's the one thing I'll say good about like that I've seen about Farpoint is that the movement is just you are just walking, and I get that causes a lot of like sickness in people and stuff like that when they move like that, but they still need to figure out movement in VR games above all else. But that's threw a great party though, dude. Ton of fun, ton of fun. So we did both that and the Microsoft press conference that day, so that was pretty insane. Anything else you want to know about either of those? I guess since I was there?
Sunday was pretty, especially since you did call in, which people can listen to that at the end of the Xbox breakdown episode. I feel like those days I've got pretty well covered. I think Monday and Tuesday, and then the rest of the convention itself are really the nuggets I haven't dug into quite as much. I mean, we were texting all week. You even FaceTimed me a tour of the show floor, which was pretty cool. But
Yeah.
let's go to Monday. Big Monday.
So Monday,
Ubisoft.
did not go. Did not. I kept an eye on it as well, but
Okay.
watched like the first 45 minutes of it. Let's talk about Skull and Bones, bro. That game looks awesome.
AKA Black Flag with your friends.
It actually looks so good. I wish there was a single player component, and I'm hoping they add one or something like that, or maybe they just didn't talk about it, because there is one to like For Honor as well. They just really
There
don't
is single
ever
player
highlight
For
it.
Honor?
I think so. I'm fairly certain.
Because honestly, it looked like For Honor just with pirates, which is not
it
enough.
looked like it looked like the For Honor model, which is the online play with friends and that type of thing. Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really dope though. Like I'm
very
totally
mature,
excited for
pirate
how
game.
that could work. That looked cool. I saw the Beyond Good and Evil stuff. I had heard about it. I went back and watched the trailer later. That's cool. Never played the first one.
I was gonna say, have you ever played? I didn't get it.
So I have the HD collection, or not collection. I have the HD remaster backwards compatible on my Xbox One. I've been wanting to play it forever. We'll see if I ever do. Was it a Games with Gold game at one point?
I think that's what it was.
Because I'd actually purchased that in the 360 era, so I've owned that for like 5-6 years.
Okay.
Just never played it. Well, I probably will at some point. I heard some impressions about that game from behind closed doors. Sounds kind of out there. We'll see how it turns out. I am not, after hearing the gameplay impressions, I am not convinced that game will ever see the light of day. But we'll have to see what happens.
I heard a lot of people, obviously, besides the freak out that the game was re-revealed, that people weren't expecting a prequel direction for the next game.
Yeah, because I guess the first one ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting the direction they've taken it narratively. We'll see how it shakes out. Good for everyone, though. I remember when Final Fantasy VII Remaster was announced, and I was in that movie theater, and everyone was freaking out, and I was like, I don't know what's going on.
I think people are freaking out less because of Beyond Good and Evil sequel, and more because this has been like, I don't know how familiar you are with this. This has been like a 10 or 11 year thing with this game.
Oh, it's another Last Guardian or
to a degree.
Final Fantasy 15.
I don't ever know how much the previous Beyond Good and Evil 2 was like in development though, but there was a CGI trailer which you can watch. It came out like 10 years ago for the game. And had the pig guy in it from the first game, as well as a couple other people, and it just never showed up. And I don't know. It's been talked about for so long, but now we've actually got something that seems like we're back on the right track with it. I think it's less of people wanting an actual sequel to that game and more just people want Beyond Good and Evil 2 to finally be out, because it's been it's like probably going to end up being close to like a 15-year ordeal. Again, though, like Last Guardian, we actually saw gameplay. Like this has just been like CGI trailer after CGI trailer for so long.
That's fair. Yeah, that's just a name and visuals.
Yeah, it's just been like an idea for a while.
Another Ubisoft thing I wanted to ask you about on air: Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Yeah, we can talk about that when we get to. So I played it. We can talk about that when I get to like the. If you want me to
show floor stuff,
if you want me to like walk you through what I played, and
we'll
stuff
save
like
it for
that,
there.
We can talk about
I didn't know where you wanted to fit it in.
That presentation though was cool, dude. Like with Miyamoto,
they were really good.
Like that was awesome. Made me wish I was in the theater for that one.
Miyamoto was really cool. They also showed off an Egypt trailer for Origins. We'll talk about Origins a little later, I think.
And Crew 2, the Crew 2, followed by
Drive Everything. If it has
the Crew 2, and then it was South Park.
Then
they showed off the South Park mobile game. Yeah,
which
I didn't really understand.
Skull and Bones.
What was that game called? Transference. Yeah, I said that they stole the Death Stranding font for that, with like all the lines coming off of it. Yeah.
There's coming spring 2018. I think they said PSVR as well. Not sure yet.
Probably. You would have to imagine.
Skull and Bones, your pirate
I'll just say this. If you're a VR developer and you're not looking to put your game on PSVR at this point, like It's kind of surprising considering it has sold more than
the largest
Vive and
VR
Oculus
platform
combined. Yeah.
Just Dance 2018, surprise, surprise. Then South Park Phone Destroyer. They put a 2017 date on that, which, if it's a South Park games, means it's coming out in 2019.
That's a mobile game. It'll be out.
Starlink Battle for Atlas, aka
Totally did not like. A lot of people were totally hyped for that game. I didn't get it.
Way down on it. Who in their right mind is going to play a game with a ship smack dab in the middle of their controller?
I don't think that looked like a huge deal. Like, you don't move your hands that much while you're playing. Like, as long as you've got a slight bit of room, I think you'll be fine. The gameplay itself was what I was not sold on. It's less of the Toys for Life stuff to me, and more just like the gameplay that I saw. I didn't think looked like anything special. That's where I stopped watching. What was after that?
Okay.
Was it just beyond
Steep DLC? Road to the Olympics.
Okay. I know right. I stopped watching right for Far Cry 5. I had to leave.
Because Far Cry 5 was next.
Right when that was on. So I actually haven't seen that played yet.
It looks
I
like
need to actually go back and watch that. So I saw it being played in front of me, and I disagree. I think it looks like different from the couple snippets of gameplay I saw right in front of my face. The world looks totally unique, dude. Like,
the world looks cool, but like the gameplay, you just get to tell your comrades like what to do, and help take you out. Which
it's a shooter. Like, yeah, I think the world is what is different from game to game in that. Like, just comparing the gameplay.
Yeah, no, the world is the character.
You're gonna have guns. You're gonna interact with the environment, light a field on fire, stuff like that. Set a tiger loose. Like, I get that those things will be similar, but it's the world that I think is what really drastically changes from game to game with that. And the color palette that I saw in the footage that I saw,
a lot of yellows, blues,
a lot nicer. Yeah, not that the other ones were bad. It looked a lot more colorful though, dude. I was very impressed by that. Okay, so I had to dodge out for the Ubisoft. After that, it was just Beyond Good and Evil, right?
Beyond Good and Evil was what closed the show.
Did Marty ever eat a cup?
They said they were working on it. I never heard otherwise.
Because I didn't see that until later on. I thought that was funny though. Okay, so I had to dodge out of there because we had an appointment.
Why did you have to dodge out, Logan?
We had a time with Microsoft. We had a press event to go to play a bunch of games and things.
What you play?
So when we got there, they had, I'm trying to think of what they had available to play. They had The Artful Escape, they had Ashen, they had Minecraft, Forza 7. I'm just listing every game that was actually there to be played. Sea of Thieves, Assassin's Creed Origins, Crackdown 3, Super Lucky's Tale, Halo Wars 2, and then there were a couple other things. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds was also there, and then
that's cool.
I think that's it. So we could only stay there for a little bit because we had to go to the Sony conference later that night. But I got there. I immediately hopped on Crackdown. I have written a preview up about that, which you can go find. That pretty much gives all of my initial impressions on it. In that piece, I basically talk about how it feels like Crackdown, which is a fantastic thing, but it also still just felt like Crackdown. I played it for 10 minutes. So I don't know. I was on both sides where it was like, yes, this feels like Crackdown. This is exactly what I want. Thank you. And at the same time, I was like, okay, but where are the new things? And I assume those new things will show themselves in the full game. I had 10 minutes with it. Right. But it was very comfortable to dive back into that. And I'm a huge Crackdown fan. I'm so happy that game has a release date, man. I'm very, very excited that is coming out. That is one of my most hyped fall games. Just because I used to play 1 and 2 so much as a kid, or I guess not as a kid, an adolescent,
as a young adult, a teenager.
I'm really excited for 3 though. I very much am excited for the game. Not a lot to say though. Again, more Crackdown. I wrote all my thoughts on it. You can go find them on DualShockers.com. Just search Crackdown 3 preview, and you will find what I wrote about that game. So I played that. We didn't play Sea of Thieves, but we set up a time later on to play Sea of Thieves later in the week, which I'll talk about. Then I played Super Lucky's Tale, so it wasn't bad. I felt like even just watching the trailer, it looked like the platforming was slow and a little bit, not floaty, tight in spots. The movement didn't feel fantastic. It was all doable though. None of it felt bad, but none of it felt amazing at the same time. Like it didn't have the level of responsiveness as like a Mario would or something like that. It felt fine. I was fine with it. The demo was good. Got used to the controls and stuff like that. Again, it was about a 10 or 15-minute demo. It seems good. Like we'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes from here. The team was incredibly nice. I enjoyed talking to them for a couple minutes. We'll see what happens. Like I'm interested to see what the full game looks like, and if it's going to be like a level by level type thing, or if it's going to be like hub worlds or something like that. We'll see how that game lays out. But I'm interested to see more after the time I spent with it.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions about that one specifically?
No, it's interesting to see Microsoft add that to its portfolio. That is something different than Xbox's normal gamut of games, and I think that's good. They're diversifying it. So either way, I think it's a good addition. We'll see how the game shakes out. I remember a lot of people saying the first one, which was an Oculus Rift game, had charm, but the VR part just wasn't, it didn't make the most sense. So we'll see how it all shakes out for the sequel, and it's a traditional platforming collectathon kind of game.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but I wasn't like blown away by it either. Like at the end of the week, I wasn't looking back like, oh man, I played Super Lucky's Tale or something like that. So we'll see how it works out. And then I played Assassin's Creed Origins.
Lay it on me.
It's so good.
Preach
Like
the gospel.
it is so like I want to stress this. Probably my favorite thing I played all week, and I was totally not expecting it either. That was the thing. So there's a dog howling in my house.
There's thunder. There's thunder rolling in my eye.
Hold on.
That was awesome.
Freaking howling dog in my house. Anyway, Assassin's Creed Origins. So freaking good, dude. They changed, like, so we had been going into, I don't know how this played over the interwebs for you, like the trailers you saw and maybe the possible gameplay footage you saw.
All I saw was the Xbox demo on stage.
Okay.
And then the trailer from you.
I think it looked very different from what you saw on that.
Like gameplay wise?
Yes.
Yeah, the RPG stuff, like leveling up.
Yes,
I like
that
the
looks
Falcon,
awesome.
the Falcon thing, you know, being able to fly over and see everything. I like that.
Falcon has a name. I don't know what its name is though.
I read it in the magazine today. It's like Senzu or something. Other than that, it looked like an Assassin's Creed game, which I don't say that so much as a derogatory term, but it looked the same, just with some RPG stuff melded in, and a magic arrow that you control while it flies.
So I didn't ever control magic arrow.
The end of the Xbox demo?
I saw that. I'm just saying I never did that with my gameplay thing.
Oh, gotcha.
The weapons feel very unique from one another. So I'm going to say this, and obviously I don't mean it in a one-to-one way, but it is very obvious to me that they stole a lot of inspiration combat-wise for this game from Dark Souls. Like very, very obvious to me after I played it. They have now switched, even with the combat. The combat now, the attack buttons are right bumper and right trigger. So right bumper is like a light attack, right trigger is a heavy attack. You have a strafe that you can do to dodge out of the way. You have a deflection that if you have a shield, you can deflect it. And then you have your ranged bow and things like that you can shoot. Combat-wise, dude, it is a totally different game this time. In the past Assassin's Creed games, you would just have 10 people circle around you, and you could just counter, and kill them all one by one, and they would only attack you one by one and stuff like that. The combat is so different this time around. Like, I can't stress that enough. You'll get into a battle with like 2 or 3 people, and it'll be like a legitimate battle that you need to like actually take pretty seriously. And obviously I was still getting very used to the controls, so maybe 5 or 10 hours into the game, like you'll be able to blow through those easily. But it is less about actually rewarding hits. Like, So in the other games, if you hit somebody, like it just do immediate damage. It is now, they said, based on hitboxes and stuff like that, like where you're hitting the person is how they're going to react to where you hit them, things like that. If they have their shield up, they're not going to take any damage, obviously, but it could still stagger them. And if you lay a few more combos on them, you could break that combo. It is not like the old style of combat from the other games. It's just, it feels so refreshing and so unique. And so I played two things. There was one where it was an open world portion, and I went into a city and I went and did a mission, and I got to use the eagle or the falcon. I'm sorry, whatever. It's an eagle in my mind just because eagle vision, blah, 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 blah. Used the falcon, scouted out an area, went in, took out some people, grabbed the thing I needed to grab, took it back to the guy, finished the mission, all that stuff. So that was part one of the demo. Part two, they took you into this new thing called the arena, which I don't know if you saw any footage of.
Negative.
But in the arena, it was like an arena, like a Coliseum or something like that, where you go in and you would face waves of enemies. And it was mainly to just get better at the combat and see how you could work with that. That was a ton of fun. And I think I faced 3 waves of enemies, got to utilize a different style of weapon. It was like a long pole axe compared to the sword and shield I was using in the open world portion of the demo. And then after I defeated all of those, I went on to the next portion of an arena, which was a boss battle against this large enemy, this slaver. Really, really, really freaking hard. Like you had to time your hits perfectly. You couldn't get carried away and messy. You couldn't try to go in when there's not a good opening for you to go in. Otherwise, you're going to get smacked fast. Like there is so much more depth to the combat now than I expected. And for the arena alone, like I assume that'll be an element that's in the game. I could play that for hours, dude. Like it was so fun. Like I really, really enjoyed my time with the arena stuff. And so we were playing on Xbox One X dev kits as well, and it looked gorgeous.
Yeah, that 4K.
It looked really good. Like above all the other games throughout the week that I played, like that one, I was like, oh my gosh, I really need to get a 4K TV because it looked that good. I don't know. It felt better control wise. The combat was overhauled the way it needed to be overhauled. I was already sold on the location of Egypt and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you said, the RPG elements and things like that, it looks like they added to it as well. Like this is the change the series needed, while also I told you that it felt like it was completely not Assassin's Creed. And while it has the touchstone things that I think are Assassin's Creed, for the most part, like I left there and I really did feel like I had just played a completely different game. Which was a good thing, I think, for me, and I think probably for you, because you had just gotten so tired of them. Like you put in Syndicate and you're like, yeah, this sucks. I'm like, well, there's nothing that really sucks there. I think you're just kind of tired of the formula, to be honest. I
didn't say it sucked. It just wasn't for me. I didn't want to play it.
Well, you put it in and pulled it out within, what'd you say, 5 minutes or something like that? So
yeah, I got to.
I think it was just the formula of the other games that were wearing thin on people, and they totally remixed the formula. They kept the things that I think have worked, like the cool locations and stuff like that.
Hidden blades.
No, I didn't nothing like that in there.
The article I read, the hidden blade is in the game.
Well, I would assume so, yeah, but not in the demo I played, and we didn't see it as well in the Microsoft demo, if I'm correct. I think he was more just slitting people's throats.
He did do a double kill. He killed one guy and threw a knife in another. I do think it's important to note about Assassin's Creed. This is the Black Flag team.
Yes,
and this game's been in development. This game has been in development since Black Flag. So I guess Ubisoft has 3.
I'm curious how much they changed when they were given that extra year, or how early on they knew they were going to get an extra year.
The Game Informer article kind of goes into that a little bit. Really, it was to give it that polish and to make sure it was fun and felt good.
Yeah.
Based off what I read was how it kind of shook out.
Yeah. So I mean, they had some of the dev team members there, and I was just I was just like over the moon for everything I saw and played. And they were like very appreciative. They're like, we've worked very hard, so it's good to hear that you're happy with this as somebody who's played the other games in the series. Like, no joke, maybe my most anticipated game this fall. I'm so on board for this. And it comes out the same day as Wolfenstein and Super Mario. But I'm telling you, dude, like,
It's going to be an expensive day.
I am so excited for that game. Like, and I know there's a lot of other games that come out around that time, but I think you should be interested in looking towards it.
I'm already
yourself.
thinking about all three of them, so
It's I'm very excited for Assassin's Creed. Like I did not, and that's
feel
the thing.
excited for Assassin's Creed.
I didn't expect that. Like, I was going into it, even the Microsoft demo, I was like, this looks good. Like, yeah, sure, it's Assassin's Creed. Like, yeah, this looks good. But like actually going hands on with it, like, changed everything. They've just found so many new ways to make the series feel fresh, and it really feels like, you mentioned the polish. Is even the build I played seems really polished, man. And like, I only played it for like 25 or 30 minutes, but this really feels already like it's going to be one of the better entries in the entire series, if not the best. So lots to be excited about with Assassin's Creed.
I am eager for it. I'm eager to see, as we get closer, reviews and what people think and more of the gameplay. I might dig around on YouTube and find some more, direct capture footage and stuff. I'm excited for it. Like, I'm interested.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it all shakes out.
And that was the press event. We had to leave soon after, so we left that and we ran over to Sony, which was actually just like a block or two down the street, luckily, so we didn't have to hop in a car or anything. We got in for that and found out that they had an entire conference event as well, where people were allowed to play games all over the place. There was a ton of stuff playable on there in their little lobby.
They announced a lot of stuff in the hour beforehand.
Yeah, so they had playable on the show floor Knack 2, which I didn't know was $40. That's awesome.
Yep. Isn't that great?
Totally thinking about Knack 2 now.
Yep. It's that Ratchet and Clank price point.
Yeah, it's that's a good price for that game though. It really is.
It really is.
So they had that. They had Matterfall. They had a ton of VR games. Like, I couldn't list everything they had on their show floor because there's actually so many things that they had playable there.
Really quick, speaking of price point, did you hear about this Assassin's Creed Origins?
$800.
Yeah, that is bonkers.
Yeah, I had heard about it. There's only like 100 or a couple.
200 of them being made.
Yeah,
most comes with a 2 foot tall statue, 2 steel books, some art, a certificate of authenticity. It's crazy.
I mean, to me, then I would assume that means the statue they're giving you is of like extremely high quality compared to the crummy plastic ones you normally get.
Or it's Ubisoft just going, we can do this.
I don't know.
200
I mean,
to
me, have you ever bought like a really, really nice statue though? Like just independent? Because I've spent like $250 on like a really nice Spider-Man statue. Those things can get expensive depending on what you're getting.
Not outside of a game. No, I have.
Yeah,
not.
The ones you get with the games are pretty chintzy, honestly. That's why I never really go towards them.
My Ganondorf one from Wind Waker is really good. I think the Uncharted 4 one is really quality. The God of War one from Ascension is trash. It just kind of depends on the game, I think.
Nice, but what they're made out of is what I mean is like.
Well, no, yeah, the Uncharted one's pretty darn sturdy. It's a good one. I think.
So we went over to Sony and we got in line for their press conference. And okay, we need to do prediction. We need to talk about predictions as well.
I was wondering when you were going to bring this up. I have the spreadsheet.
I mean, I know I won.
Oh, you screamed me.
I sat. So like I said, I won't lie about it. We sat second row. So got that one. Did not shake Shuhei's hand though. So there's a half a point for that. Even though if we had gotten there,
predictions are on my hard drive.
If we had gotten there early, I guarantee you I could have shook Shuhei's hand. But we got there.
Where's that Phil Spencer photo?
So there was one part where he was like up on the balcony above me, and I was down below, and I was about to take a picture and send it to you, but I just like, whatever. I already creamed him. I don't need to do him a disservice and bury him into the ground. Because notice I never said like I need a picture with like my arm around him. I never said anything like
with
that.
Phil Spencer.
You that, and it would have perfectly counted. So I could have done that one, but I didn't. So I guess speeding through this, I don't know. So we were there. So okay, so we sat second row behind us. Do you know who? Are you aware of who the hip hop gamer is?
Like that's his title, the hip hop gamer.
He's hip hop gamer. Yes, he is on.
No,
He goes on.
I don't.
He goes on Hot 97 a lot and talks about video games with them.
No, I have no idea who that
Radio
person
channel.
is.
He is he's like a video game hype man. He's like freaks out at everything and he screams and yells. He sat behind us during the Sony press conference. So
Oh God.
everything that happened on the screen, he was screaming about, like very loudly, very loudly.
Uncharted 4: A Lost Legacy. Whoa!
No, I mean it was seriously everything.
That's crazy. That would be so annoying.
It was pretty annoying for the first 10 minutes, and then I think we just like all kind of realized we're like, all right, let's just accept that this is happening and be okay with it.
Sean Layden comes out. Whoa!
No, dude, I'm telling you, it was everything. It wasn't just big moments. It was everything. Anytime anything happened in any of the trailers, there was freak out behind it.
Oh my God, it's the guy from Grey's Anatomy. He's in Detroit. Oh!
So that was interesting. I don't know. I don't need to go step by step through Sony's conference, I guess.
What was your favorite thing you saw on Sony's stage?
That God of War trailer looked really good. I was very excited to see that.
Actually, I know
Spider-Man
the
was
answer to
cool.
this.
What?
It should be Spider-Man.
Spider-Man was great. We could talk about that in a second because I do have some questions about that game. Honestly, like hearing that Undertale and Superhot are coming to PS4, very, very excited for both of those. I wish they would have been on the stage because I would have freaked out.
You would have joined Hype Man?
Like, yeah, I would have joined Hip Hop Gamers standing up and bowing to Sean Layden. You probably actually maybe have saw that
see
GIF.
that GIF of the guy bowing.
Yeah, I was sitting. You can see my head in that GIF.
No. Wait.
Yeah.
No. Oh, what?
Yeah, you can see the back of my head in that GIF. I've told you I was sitting right in front of him. So Sony's show was good. They just tried to do the same thing as last year though, and it didn't work out because none of those games got dates still, except for a couple of them. And
God of War got a window.
It's so weird that Detroit and Days Gone specifically still don't have dates, man. Like I don't know.
It's a miracle they don't have dates.
I'm wondering what's up with Days Gone, honestly, because I didn't think it demoed very well last year.
I enjoyed the demo
a lot
this
of people,
year.
I did this year as well. I'm wondering if they like went back to the drawing board with some things and changed some things around after last year's demo because that just did not look good. I know it's an E3 demo, and I heard it was like short notice as well that they were supposed to do that demo last year, so I don't know how that really shook out. But supposedly the game was very close, and then now it still doesn't have a release window. So I'm wondering what's up with that one. I did think it looked good, though. I thought that demoed well. That's the thing. Like, everything Sony showed here to me demoed very well. So there is still a lot to be excited for with Sony. It is just, it was like part 2 of last year's press conference, except the reveals were no longer reveals on the same level. So,
I called it E3 2016 remastered.
Kind of, in some ways. I don't know. There was a lot of good stuff shown. The Shadow of the Colossus reveal was fantastic, awesome. Like that was like, I couldn't believe that was happening. Like if there was like one freak out moment, it was that. I know it's just a remake and stuff like that, but
a lot of people in my theater were stoked.
It looked gorgeous. I mean, being on the big screen too in front of us, that giant 4K screen. I think it was. I think we were freaking out a little bit more because of that too. Like if I'd seen that, if I had just been watching that on my laptop, I don't know how much I would have spazzed, but being in the room, like we were all kind of like freaking out about that one. Spider-Man, I guess we can talk about that.
Yeah, come on, big Spidey man. Big Spidey fan.
So looks very much like Arkham, which is fine with me in a lot of ways.
Sounds perfect
I'm
to me.
very excited for it. Like I'm not negative on what I saw. I'm more just like my interest has been piqued with where they're going with it. The combat looked like Arkham. The sitting on top of the perches and using gadgets and picking people off silently looked like Arkham. So I guess in terms of like uniqueness, it wasn't, at least in this demo. It felt like stuff I had seen before. That said, if you're going to take from another superhero game, please take from Arkham, because that is like one of my top 5 favorite franchises of all time. So I am very much okay with that. So
what about that? What about that web slinging?
I don't know. We barely saw it. It looked really good. I want to see more. I wish the demo would have just started and they would have just been on a building and he would have just jumped off and it just could have swung around for like 2 or 3 minutes. That would have been all. I would have been like, all right, that's fine. That's totally fine. That's all I want. The running on the walls and stuff like that looked cool. I honestly actually figured they would be doing things like that because Web of Shadows had an element of that as well, where they really didn't want to break up your speed or the way you were running throughout the city. So I figured that would be in there. So that wasn't a huge shock to me, web slinging and traversal wise. A lot of web zipping stuff. I like how you can specifically see what you're zipping onto compared to previous games. The physics looked amazing for how he was swinging with the webs and things like that. I wish I could have just saw it in the context of let's just swing around rather than let's chase this helicopter. I did get some of my prediction right on that because we did see Kingpin. So we did see a villain. It was not a
I gave it to you because of Mr. Negative or whatever, because he was a
Mr.
villain.
Negative was in there too.
I gave it to you.
So we saw 2 of them, I guess. I don't know. I'm very excited for it still.
I
am probably my most anticipated game. I would like a PS4 Pro before it comes out, honestly.
You gotta get that TV.
I gotta get that TV first. I actually went and looked at them yesterday. I'm very excited for the game. I'd like to see some more openness, though. I want to see how that open world works.
Yeah.
As far as showcasing one specific demo, I thought it demoed well. There was a little bit too many quick time events, but Insomniac has already said that they are aware of that and that they don't want that to be a constant when they release the game.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's gonna be good.
We'll have to see what happens, I guess, with that. Still very excited for it though. I just have more questions raised at this point. So it's less about like an unabashed excitement and freaking out. But trust me, I freaked out when I saw it in the theater. But distance from it, I have some questions that I would still like answered. And I do that, and I think it's the same way with you for like Last of Us or something like that. Like you're excited for the game, but you probably have like a laundry list of questions that you want answered about the game. So it's more like, it's not like I'm hesitant with the game. It's just like
you care about it so much you don't want them to screw it up.
Yeah, that's what it is. So it's like I'm equal parts very excited while also like
please,
I know what I want from that game. Like I have in my mind.
Please treat my Spider-Man good.
Yeah, I have in my mind how I know I want that game to turn out, and I just want them to do that. So we'll see. I have full confidence in them. We talked to their team for a couple minutes on the show floor. They seemed like they know what they're doing.
What's the deal with Miles?
I don't know. I'm not a Miles guy either. So we'll see.
Because it's definitely Peter Parker in suit.
Yeah, that was not. I don't understand how people thought it wasn't. Like they were taking pictures of the helicopter that had just landed there 2 seconds ago, and they're like, "Oh, was it Miles in the suit?" I'm like, "Are you stupid?" One, he already said Peter in the video, and 2, like that would no. Like when his Miles worn the classic red and blue suit, he wears the dark blue looking suit. So that was dumb. You're dumb if you thought that was Miles for even half a second. I'm sorry. I'm very excited for it though, dude. I don't know. I don't like Miles. I really don't. I kind of wish he wasn't in the game, but we'll see how it works out. I'm sure they'll do fine with it. So then we left. Saw Neil Druckmann on the way out. So I saw Neil Druckmann. I'm not kidding, dude. I think I saw Neil Druckmann 7 or 8 times this week. That's how often you're meeting these people.
he tweeted out, he was like, we know a lot of you wanted to see.
I think I saw him as he was actually tweeting that.
He's like, I know a lot of you want to see Last of Us, but it's time for Nadine and Chloe to shine. I'm like, that just means there's not a demo. Oh, well.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Both that and Death Stranding. Like, if there's one good takeaway from Sony's show, it's probably
No Death Stranding.
a very positive thing that neither of those showed up in any capacity.
Yeah, we don't need more games that aren't going to be out for 3 or 4 years. We'll see. We will see Last of Us at next D3 for sure.
So let's keep moving then, I guess. Because what else was Monday? We went to a party Monday night. That was okay. Played a couple of games there.
Tuesday.
None of them really worth mentioning. Tuesday, so E3 starts. The show. So
What'd you say?
I didn't have anything to do for the first hour of the show.
Gotcha.
So
the storm is kicked up. So we'll
I
see how
just
this
decided to run in with the masses. And that was interesting because there was a lot of people. So I walked in and I was like, I don't want to go to Nintendo's booth because it's going to be so busy. And then I was like, actually, I'll just go to Nintendo's booth, just get it out of the way so I don't have to come back later. Walked in, the lines for Super Mario Odyssey were already 10 miles long. And I was like in the early first kind of crew in.
New Donk City.
I was taking in New Donk City, which was crazy. But then, so all the TVs were taken. Everybody was playing. Oh, duh. Let's talk about the Nintendo conference really quick. Actually,
I'll
finish this, and then we can talk about that because I forgot about that. So I got in there. All the TVs were taken, but I noticed that they had people off to the side with handheld versions of Odyssey, and I was like, "Is there a line for this?" And they're like, "No." And so there were 2 people on each of the machines, but there was nobody after them. I was like, I will just wait for this and I will play it handheld. So I think everybody started catching on after that though, but I was like first in the line for that. So as soon as they finished their demos, I hopped on and played it for 10 minutes and it is very fun.
Tell me
liked
about
it a lot.
Sweet Odyssey.
It's like Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah,
like that is, and I say that as a positive. The areas are just all open. There is no longer the pick specific mission A and go pick star 1 and go find star 1 by doing mission X or something like that within the world. It is just all open from the get-go. You run in and all of the moons are already in their places and you just have to find them. So it is very much like Banjo in that way. Same with the collectibles, it's more of a collectathon than in the past.
Yep. There's special coins.
Special coins for each area. Then you've got the coins that you can use to buy new suits and also which serve as your life this time. It was very fun throwing Cappy left and right and seeing what he would and would not hook onto. It's anything that does not have a hat. He will hook onto. So I was like trying to chuck him at like some of the dudes walking around and they're just like, stop, leave me alone. I did not actually possess a human either, which sucked. I possessed a few other things. It's really fun, dude. Like it is very, very fun. Like I am super excited to play the whole game.
And October 27th, man.
I know it's very soon. That trailer that they showed during the direct was easily the best trailer of the entire show, hands down. Very good showing for that game.
Game comes out a week after my wedding. I will actually be on a boat still when it comes out.
You will?
Yep. I'm gonna be on a cruise from Saturday to Sunday or Saturday.
Gotcha.
It's a week-long cruise. So I will have Assassin's Creed, and possibly Wolfenstein waiting for me when I get home.
Nice. And I will probably be 2 of the 3.
I will share that Abby and I's plan ever since we got engaged was to put a Mario amiibo on our cake and a Peach amiibo on our cake. And then they go and announce these wedding variants of amiibo.
Are they out yet though? When did they come out?
The day of the game,
Yeah,
a week after our wedding. I know. I'm gonna write Nintendo and just be like, hey, this was our plan. Could I please get them just a week early? We'll see. If that doesn't shake out, which I don't assume it will, I will go to some friends.
Nintendo in the past, and they can actually be pretty cool.
My friend Landon has written them and they've responded with a letter and stuff. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna write them and see what they do and say. But if that doesn't shake out, then I'm gonna go to some friends I have in retail. And obviously this all depends on shipments and when trucks get in and not. But if they're in early, I'll be like, hey, I just need it for this cake.
Please.
I'm buying it anyway. I have it all pre-ordered. I pre-ordered so many amiibo, it's unreal.
Yeah, why are you still doing that?
because you know my rule with amiibo, it's amiibo I want. And the problem is I wanted all of these.
Yeah, you gotta get out of the game though, dude. It's interfering with all of the other fall games that are coming out this year.
Well, thankfully the amiibo are pretty spaced out. It's not like everything comes out the same day.
Yeah.
So,
but you're buying like 10 of them?
4, 7, 9.
4 champions. Yeah.
The 3 Mario and the 2 Metroid.
So you could get like 2 or 3 games with that money.
Oh, it's a lot. It's bad. But
yeah,
let's talk about that direct or spotlight. They called it the spotlight.
I don't understand. Okay, I want to say this up front. It was a good showing. But why? It was not the best. Like, I'm not in my Nintendo hater mode that I once was, but everyone all week thought it was the best, and I did not understand why.
Like I said at the front of the show, Microsoft's pound for pound was the best. Nintendo's was my favorite.
Okay, like I just
and
don't
I think
understand.
That
like they showed a Kirby game that looked like more Kirby. They showed a Yoshi game which looked good and different. Like I'm fine. Like if you're stoked for the Yoshi game, good. Like I'll give you points for that one. Super Mario Odyssey had a great showing, but we knew that was coming. That's coming out later this year. That's fine. Like not a huge shock.
Xenoblade still coming out this fall.
Still coming out later this year. Hyrule Fire Emblem Warriors still coming out later this year. Looks good. We actually played that one, which I can talk about.
But Logan, they did it.
It's a freaking JPEG.
Our prayers.
I wish I got half as excited about a stupid JPEG as all of the freaking Nintendo fans in the LA convention center.
It worked. I wore my shirt. I had amiibo sacrifices. It worked.
So I have a couple things with this because I am totally disconnected from anything Metroid Prime because I just like really don't care. I'll tell you this though because you'll enjoy this. So we're in the media room at the LA Convention Center, and we're watching it on our laptops. And there's like a slight 5-10 second delay, and everybody else is watching it like out on who's like waiting in line to get into the show floor. They're out watching it like on TVs or screens that they have out in the lobby, and we're behind a little bit. And all of a sudden, we just start to hear, and like everything like kind of starts to shake, and we're like, "What is going on?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Metroid!" And so our feeds caught up. And then our whole room went insane too. And I was like, this is so ridiculous, dude. But that was the thing.
Time you were texting me too, you were like, 10 minutes left and still no Metroid.
They shouldn't have revealed it. I will double. This horrible reveal. Terrible reveal. Like, it's a stupid freaking logo. It's so lame. I wish they would have held it. Like, okay. If I wanted to be won over and excited for that, they did not do it for me. Again, I know that I am not as hyped about the Prime games as other people did, but like
you're in the minority.
That was like such a lame reveal for me. Here's the other thing I want to say about Prime 2 specifically real quick. And this is also why I'm like not crazy about the whole Prime 4 thing. What has Nintendo done so well lately with their other games? They've completely reinvented Zelda. And with Odyssey, they're kind of reinventing 3D Mario. Prime 4 is just Prime 4. Obviously, we haven't seen gameplay. Maybe they totally mix up the formula. Maybe there's a lot of different things. But to me, Prime 4 is just like, okay, it's another Metroid shooter. Like, I would have preferred anything else Metroid than Prime 4 because I want to see them do new, interesting things with that franchise.
And I hope
back to the freaking Prime 4.
I hope they do new stuff for sure.
You see what I mean, though? Like they've reinvented their other franchises, and Prime 4 to me on paper is just a Metroid shooter. Like I wanted to see something new from that franchise. Honestly, I'm way more excited for Samus Returns. I know it's a remake, but like that looks way more interesting to me than the thought of Prime 4. That's the other thing. We didn't see anything. There was nothing to see. It was such a lame reveal.
I think.
People are coming out saying that was the best thing they saw all week at E3. I'm like, it's a freaking JPEG.
It's the best JPEG ever, though. I think some things that are positive about it is it shows that there's a Metroid game that exists.
We all knew that, though. We all knew that would happen at some point.
One day. So we saw that. I think going in, Nintendo kept saying that this whole spotlight was about games coming out later this year. And I was actually really surprised to see them show Kirby 2018, Yoshi 2018, and then obviously Metroid Prime 4, which is, I assume, a 2019 game. So it was cool to see them just kind of sprinkle a little bit of the future of the Switch in there as well, especially since it's so fresh here off the boat. So I thought it was nice to see them talk about the future, and not just with Metroid, but with everything else. And then also, I think it showed that Nintendo is listening to fans a little bit about just kind of what games they want. Well, now we just need Mother 3 and Metroid or F-Zero, and we'll be good.
Still no virtual console, dude. Like I would have marked out way more for anything virtual console related than a stupid Metroid logo.
I was very surprised there was no virtual console mentioned.
Maybe I'm wrong here, but didn't 3 kind of wrap things up pretty well? Like I actually played that game to completion, and it was kind of like we're done. Like it was and then there's been the whole Metroid Prime trilogy that they repackaged. Like it has felt like that was a whole thing. Obviously, Saga's never had.
But you know what?
Look at Star Wars or something.
Halo 1, 2, and 3 were pretty good, and then we got Halo 4 and 5. So it's also important to note, Retro is not doing this game. It is the serious producer from Prime, and then his own internal team at Nintendo. Lightning capital of the world, Florida.
I was gonna say I just heard something.
So it's cool. I'm glad. I freaked out, obviously. No surprise here to you or anyone listening. Metroid's real. It's great.
Okay, but I listened back to our episode, and you've never even beaten Prime 1 or 2?
Nope. I beat Hunters.
Why is it your
favorite? Right to the...
I don't understand. That's some lightning right there.
That was real close. That shook the room.
Thunder, I mean.
It's my favorite. I've played Zero Mission, and Hunters, and I love them. They're so good.
See, I know you like Zero Mission though, so why would you be so hyped for just again a 3D shooter?
I played Prime as a kid, and I think I just stopped and never went back. If I sat down and played it, which I've been thinking about, obviously just because 4 was announced, and I have the trilogy and stuff, I would sit through and beat it. But I just think I was at that. It was at one of those points where I was a kid, and I get it.
When you're a kid, you jump in and jump out of games way more often than I think I do now.
Yeah, and so I think that's kind of just I never went back to it. But I mean I got to the end there. I was at Mecha Ridley before fighting the final Metroid, so I was there.
Like I'll say this, I will probably buy Metroid Prime 4, but it's just like I wish there was. I wish it wasn't shown in this way. I think it would have been so much of a better reveal if there had been that logo and then they cut to like 2 minutes of gameplay. Like, can you imagine how much people would have lost their minds then? I would have even freaked out or something like that. That was my thing.
It's much better when there's gameplay involved. But
I mean, it was just like they could have just done a press release almost, just be like, "Hey, we're developing Metroid Prime 4. Thanks everybody, bye." Like,
and also, there's E3 energy too. There's just a buzz to it. So it was.
I understand. It was. I don't know. For me though, it was just. And I have like the Prime games. I just don't care about too much. But I don't know. Hopefully that when we see more, they are doing some new things with it and reinventing it to a degree, because I really think they've been doing good job with that lately. Other than that, though, and then they showed the Zelda DLC. And then, so here was the thing that I didn't understand. And then they confirmed that Pokemon games being developed for Switch. And everybody was like, between Mario Odyssey trailer, Metroid Prime 4, and Pokemon coming to Switch, they totally want E3. I'm like, okay, Odyssey trailer was good, but we knew that was coming later this year. 1. 2,
you thought it'd be delayed.
Pokemon coming to Switch is so obvious and has been talked about for literally months. What is the shock there? They just confirmed it as such. Not a huge shock. Like, I texted you about that one. I was excited about that. But like,
I'm honestly
knew that was a thing.
It was even less of a reveal than Metroid Prime 4. They didn't have a logo.
Yeah, like it was just the creator basically saying, yes, we are doing that.
Super casual, like, oh yeah, by the way, for the first time in history, A main
And then like
line.
Rocket League, like that's cool, I guess, but like Rocket League's on freaking everything at this point. Okay, cool. Like it was a fine showing, but anybody who thinks they beat the pants off of every other conference, like even Sony, like I didn't think Sony had a great showing.
I do think it was better than Sony's.
Here's the thing I'll say about Sony's though. Again, like everybody's complaining. I just don't understand how the same people who I heard freaking out about Metroid Prime 4 were then the same people who were like, it's so dumb that Spider-Man doesn't have a specific release date. I'm like, at least we saw like 6 minutes of Spider-Man gameplay, dude. Like, I'll take that any day over a freaking logo.
I would
Like,
agree with you about that. My difference is we knew every game at Sony show.
Yeah.
That was my thing. And
again, but like I think the games at Sony show, and then the one thing I will defend them for is that they all showed incredibly well. Like I'm excited for all of those games. It's just when are they coming?
Detroit
Can you just tell me when they're coming?
But yes.
Sony went long?
No. Detroit. Like the demo for Detroit.
I agree. Detroit went long as well.
It was good. No, all around good. Nintendo,
because I really didn't think any of the conferences beat the pants off of the other this year. Honestly, Ubisoft had a fantastic showing. I really thought, which was really surprising mainly because they kept it shorter too. Because usually they're like hour 3 of the Ubisoft press conference. Let's check out more extended gameplay of The Crew.
Where was Aisha Tyler?
We already knew coming into it she wasn't going to be hosting. They had announced that like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah, so. I think they did a little bit more like let's get the dev out here and talk about it rather than this whole sit down interviewee type thing that they did with her in years past, which is fine, but it worked better for their conference. She's a great host, but I don't think they wanted a host this year.
No, it was good.
Actually breaking away from their whole Mr. Caffeine ordeal plus Aisha thing that they've had over the past year. It worked better with the formatting of their show. Okay, so I know we're running we got like what, half an hour left or so.
Yeah,
I have 3 days worth of E3 running around, impressions and games that I had played that I could talk to you about. I'm going to leave it up to you to ask about specific things and maybe specific games that I played.
Yep. Ooh.
If you would like.
I've got it. I've got stuff.
I'll say this right now. So I played Wolfenstein 2. Opening like 30 minutes of the game. So freaking good. My preview's up on the site.
Yeah, you can go up on DualShockers.
If you want to know how I feel about that game, go play it or go read it on DualShockers. One of my favorite games I played all week, though. Like, very, 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 very excited for Wolfenstein 2. And like, I will be probably picking up all 3 games on that day. So
that's a $180 day.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's a big day. Kind of sticking with Nintendo a little bit. Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I asked about it earlier. Makes sense a little bit more now. They showed a little bit in the spotlight. You've played the game. Sent me a picture of DK Rabbid. What's the word?
Way better than it has any right being. Like, I cannot believe like how much fun I had playing the game. So I'm gonna write up a preview for this one. Actually, probably once we get off this call, and I'll have that up on DualShockers too, so you can get my more concise thoughts with it. I'd ironically been hyping this game up for like a really long time just because I thought the concept seemed so stupid. But when I actually like got a controller in my hands and played it, like I just kept laughing and smiling while playing it. It's incredibly charming, which the Rabbids really aren't. But I like that they're wearing the costumes of the Mario characters and things like that. The combat is fun. Like I'm really not a huge strategy RPG guy, but the combat is like as this being like baby's first strategy RPG. Not to say it was easy, because like towards the end of the demo, I was actually kind of getting whacked pretty good. But for someone who's doesn't really have a whole lot of experience with the genre, I'm excited for this being really one of my first forays into that realm. I don't know, man. It's fun. Each of the characters have their own unique abilities and stuff like that. The combat's cool. I don't know what's specific. It's really beautiful too, like really colorful. Like that was the thing we kept saying as we played like most of the Switch games. Like, yeah, it might not be as powerful as the Xbox One or the PS4, but what they're doing with their visuals are really impressive. I mean, same with like Mario Kart 8 and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like the Wii U. It wasn't as powerful as the PS3 or 360, but some of those games were gorgeous.
It just shows that it's more about the aesthetic and the art style more so, I think, than the graphics. Like you can get
The
super
graphical
realistic
style.
graphics. You can get super realistic, gritty graphics or something like that if you want to, but it doesn't necessarily.
Like Forza 7 Motorsport, 4K 60 frames a second. It's gorgeous, looks realistic. But then you throw up Mario Odyssey or Mario Kingdom Rabbids or
You need your graphics to work in conjunction with what you're trying to do with the game. And like I said, it was charming in that way where it was like very colorful and goofy looking. And so I think because of that, it worked well with
pretty well.
Mario and Rabbids combination that they're going with, which is still just so weird. But it's like I am very, very excited for the game now.
I can't wait for it.
Which I did not expect. Like it's
August.
Like it is a Switch game I will purchase.
Yep. Speaking of Switch games, you played a little Splatoon 2, and the only reason I bring it up is you played the Horde mode, the Salmon Run.
Yeah, dude, Salmon Run's awesome. We had a ton of fun with that. Like I couldn't believe how much fun we had with that game mode. So we gave it our cooperative game of the show. Like that's how much we enjoyed it. Ton of fun. Like they find new ways to make the Horde mode thing fun. As we were playing it, Bill Trinan was standing like 2 feet from us the whole time, so that was kind of interesting. And I'll tell you about the other person we saw here in a second. I figured I'd tell that story real quick. But Salmon Run, ton of fun. We played it. So there's 3 waves you got to get through. You have to kill bosses and you have to capture these eggs and take them back to your nest or whatever. And you have to get a set amount of eggs per wave in order to advance. We started off on like 5% difficulty, which was actually pretty tough. We had a tough time with that, tougher than I imagined. The difficulty scales really quickly, and I think our Nintendo attendant told us that like the highest anybody had really gone and was able to still beat it was like 35 or 40 something in there. So after we beat it on 5%, they asked us if we'd like to do it again. And we're like, yeah, let's go to 100. And they're like, you guys are going to get destroyed. And we're like, I don't care. Let's go to 100. So we went to 100 and we actually lasted like a good 60 to 90 seconds. And our attendant was like, shocked that we did that well. She's like, I honestly did not expect you guys to do that well for even half of a second. So it was a ton of fun though, just working together with your friends. You can do it online, or I actually can't remember if you can do it online. You may only be able to do it when there's like multiple people in the same room.
Interesting. I would think you'd be able to do it online.
But it made me interested in Splatoon, at least through that game mode.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll buy it or not, but like I really enjoyed playing that with friends. It's a good time.
What was your story?
Okay, so as we were checking in for media at the media booth for our appointment with Nintendo, some guy came behind us. He was like some big dude. And he was like a security guard. And he's like, all right, everybody, look, get out of the way. I'm sorry. And he was like trying to like part the sea of 68,000 people that were at this show. And he had like started moving some people out of the way, and I like turned around and looked behind me, and walking behind him was one Shigeru Miyamoto, and he walked directly past us, and that freaked us out. And he walked into the Nintendo into the Nintendo booth they had, and he walked up a set of stairs, and we're like, well, holy crap, we just saw Miyamoto. Even if it's only for half a second, at least we saw him. So we checked in. We got with our attendant who was going to walk us through all the demos and things like that. Very nice lady. I forget her name. I feel bad. Anyway, she was the one like walking us through all this stuff. And they took us to like the most quietest, most hallowed part of the Nintendo booth at the show, and to play their games. And we could check out like 5, 6, 7, 8 different games while we were there. And we had an hour to do so. And so there was like this entire lower area where they had a bunch of stations set up, and I figured that's where we were going to go. But instead, she walked us up the same set of stairs that Miyamoto went to. So we walked up the stairs, and we get to the top of the stairs, and he's standing right there, and he like looks over at us and like makes eye contact with us. And my heart was just like like going like a mile a minute. And we're just like, holy crap, holy crap, holy crap. And we really wanted a picture with him, but at the same time, we're like, there as media. We have a scheduled appointment with Nintendo. We're there to play games and then go write about them later on and report back to our readers and let them know how we thought about them. So, and we were like trying to obviously be very professional the whole time, but we were just like, oh my gosh, it's Shigeru Miyamoto. So it was, I don't know, it freaked us out for a second there.
I can only imagine.
And we got to our station and we like started playing our games, but we like kept looking over out of the corner of our eyes, and he was like still standing over there. And that was, I think, when I texted you, I was like, Max, Shigeru Miyamoto is right next to us.
Should have like snuck a pic, just like
I wanted to. Again, we were in like their hallowed room, like that only so many people could go to. Again, it was where Shigeru Miyamoto ran to get away from everybody else on this show floor. That's where we were. So I was like trying to not do anything crazy. I tried to be as professional as I could all week, and I don't know. Just seeing him though was like very weird, and I don't know. The other thing with those guys though, and it's the same way with most of the Japanese guys there, because I saw a lot of them that I recognized and like want to go say something to you. You have to make sure a translator is nearby, otherwise it's kind of futile to go talk to him, which stinks. But I mean, language barrier, obviously you get that. So it's weird because like so many of these people you want to go say hi to or say thank you to or like get a picture with them, but it's like you kind of see who's like standing around them at the same time, and you're like, they probably won't understand a thing I'm saying to them. So
I actually think Miyamoto understands English very well. He just doesn't talk
probably. I think most of them probably do, honestly.
They just don't want to talk back in it.
I just don't know how fluent they are in speaking it, or they just don't feel comfortable with it, or one or the other,
or they just don't want to.
But yeah, so that was cool. The Nintendo meeting was cool. But I guess that was our run-in with Miyamoto's story, which is just still very weird that we actually saw him. But yeah, so Mario and Rabbids, we played that. Talked about that a bit.
Good game.
In Splatoon. You want me to give you a rundown of everything else we played throughout the week?
Yeah, sure. And then I'll pick games out of there. I know I had one more specifically.
So Nintendo, I played Lawbreakers the next day. That was pretty fun. That comes out August 8th. I played Ubisoft that I didn't end up going to. I played Bloodstained, which was fun.
How's it feel?
Feels exactly like the other games, and I actually brought that up to Iga. Like, they nailed the feeling of those games, which I was actually very surprised by. I'll have my interview up later in the week about that. But he said it wasn't as hard as I was acting like it was, because like I was like floored when I brought that up to him, and through his translator, he was actually like, no, like we were actually very confident in that. Like we felt like we knew how we would be able to do that. So
recreate it.
Yeah, I'll have that full conversation up with him later on, hopefully sooner rather than later. I got a lot of stuff to work through still. It felt good though, and I'll have a video up of myself playing it as well on the YouTube channel soon. Shadow of War, I guess, would be the only really other big notable game I played, which we ended up giving our game of show to, and I played about 90 minutes of it myself.
That was the other specific game I wanted to ask you about. So why don't you tell the people about Shadow of War?
So you saw a little bit of it in the Microsoft briefing, with the whole taking over orcs and then leading them to go attack another stronghold. I did one of those stronghold missions, and it's just a ton of fun, dude. Pointing your sword at a castle and having like an entire army of orcs run in and just start bombarding everything is really exciting, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the first game, and I was interested to see where they take the second one in terms of like what the next logical evolution is from like the Nemesis system, and they have figured it out with this whole stronghold capturing thing. Those battles are really fun. They're more of boss encounters than even the last game. So once you start playing the other one, you'll see what I mean. But obviously, like, there's certain like war chiefs or whatever you want to call them in every area that you'll need to take down, and those kind of serve as boss encounters. But these feel like way larger than normal, and there's a lot of cool elements to it too. So like when you attack these things, you can like set your armies up, and you can add special bonuses to them as well, like I want this certain unit of orcs to go in and attack. With us because they will help tear down the gate faster. Or I want you can choose like certain monsters you want to bring in as well. And the cool thing about the monsters is that they're not on either side, so they just go in and pretty much to just cause chaos. So you can set I think they're called drags. The dragons in the Lord of the Rings universe, and you can set those
the Nazgul.
I don't know if it might have been a Nazgul, I can't remember. So they're just flying around and breathing fire on everything and blasting everybody out of the way. But if you're not careful, they're also going to come in and just
eat you,
blast you as well. So it's something you put in there to kind of cause a little chaos and make things a little bit more crazy. The game is they know it's funny. Like that's the thing with the game, is that it is very much dry humor, where it is not, what they're doing is insane, is not for laughs, but it is unintentionally funny just because of the way the characters are talking and reacting and things like that. And you saw that in the Microsoft demo as well. First games like that as well, but this time around it's a lot more. I think they played it up a little bit more this time from
a little more pronounced.
The time I spent with it. Yeah. So the demo I played too, the cool thing about this is that the demo I played was alongside one of the developers of the game. He worked on the WB team or the Monolith team, I can't remember. And I think he was one of the marketing people, but he was serving as like one of the demo helper people at the show this week. And he was just as invested in watching my playthrough as I was, because he had been doing the same demo all day, but it was different every single time. Like every single time, the hierarchy of the war chiefs, the design of the orcs, what they come out and say before the battle, like rah, 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 rah. Their dialogue there is different every single time. Like I was asking him about those things, like, has he said that before? He's like, no, that's all completely new dialogue. I've been playing this for 7 hours a day. I haven't heard any of that or seen anybody that looks like this guy. It is different every single time to like an insane degree. And awesome. he's like, I don't expect it to be similar throughout the rest of the time that I show it this week either. So there is a lot of depth with the character creators that they have added to the game, all with their own specific strengths and weaknesses. So I talked a couple weeks ago about Prey and how there is just like game mechanic on game mechanic on game mechanic on game mechanic in that game that like are just stacked on top of one another and they somehow all work really well together. Same thing with Shadow of War, whereas like mechanically it was probably the most sound game I had played all week, where somehow all of the systems in that game are separate from one another and they somehow all work together in unison at the same time, and it makes so much sense seeing them come together. It's just design-wise like one of the most impressive games I played all week. It felt great. The missions were fun. The game, I was laughing while I was playing it. Like it was like check marking every box that I would look for. It's bigger than the last one. In the first game, there's only like really 2 regions. I don't think they have shown off all of them for the next one, but I think they've already confirmed 2, if not 3 already for the new game. And those castles or strongholds that you'll be taking over will be in each region now. So there's going to be one of those in every region. Those will be like the big set piece moments of the games that you will be playing through. Yeah. There's just a lot of depth in the game, a lot to do. I don't like Lord of the Rings either, and you know that. And like the game was still like, I've just been very impressed by these games. I think they're awesome.
I'm eager to play Shadow of Mordor and then hopefully Shadow of War later this year.
That got pushed to
October.
Insane. Yeah, so October is now that.
South Park.
We have also Evil Within. We have Wolfenstein, Assassin's Creed, and Super Mario Odyssey. And then we have a couple other things.
Call of Duty's November, right?
Call of Duty's November. Yeah, it's like November 3rd or 8th, one of those. And then can't remember some of the others.
October's a little crazy.
We're just kind of crazy this year. And then early November, you got Crackdown and Call of Duty, like you said. So it's like it really doesn't stop. Like we were talking about how like oh, July and August are going to be pretty empty. Like we'll finally be able to relax. Dude, I don't think so. Like Next Mackin is out Tuesday. Next month we could have stealth releases of Undertale or Super Hot. Who knows? Plus Pyre's out at the end of the month. August is now Lawbreakers, which I played and it was a ton of fun. I was very excited for that. August is Lawbreakers. We've also got Mario and Rabbids in August now. Like, it does not stop. Like, this year has been balls to the wall since January with Kingdom Hearts and Yakuza and Resident Evil 7, and I really don't see it stopping throughout the rest of the year. It's going to be insane. Next month, we've also got Splatoon.
Metroid is in September.
Metroid's in September. Destiny's in September. Like, there is a lot coming. Like,
Crazy.
It's getting insane. Very excited, but we'll see. I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to ask me? Because I know I'm sure you had a bunch of questions. I gave my gameplay impressions, but anything else show-wise? August is also Sonic Mania.
Oh my gosh. Lord help us. Lord help us. I wanted to ask you, because I think I've got everything here.
August is also Matterfall.
Stop. I wanted to know what
November
the
is Battlefront.
best
Sorry,
E3
there's just best E3 moment. Going to the conferences was awesome. Like, I had always dreamed of doing that. Like, once the Microsoft one started, I had a little like moment of realization, like, holy crap, I'm actually here. This is insane. I don't know if I brought this up to you or not. I think I brought this up to maybe one of my other friends or my parents as well. On the last day, there was like 10 minutes left that the show floor was open. And I had been done with it. I'd been done with appointments for like an hour or so. And I was just going to chill on the show floor until they told me I had to leave. And I had just happened to have been walking past the Sonic booth, the Sega booth. And they had do you remember the initial reveal trailer for Sonic Mania? Where it was like, we're going back, blah, 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 and stuff like that. That trailer came on, and I started watching it for a second. And the trailer is very nostalgia driven, where it's like, oh, Sonic has gotten to this point, but now we're going back. We're very proud to introduce Sonic Mania. Here's the new old style gameplay from the Genesis era, blah, 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 blah. I started watching that trailer, and just the whole going back thing, and then seeing the Sonic, like, it wasn't Sonic specific. It was more like, so Sonic was like my first like real game I really played as a kid. And seeing that trailer for that game and like Sonic Mania resembling the old games that I played when I was a kid so much from the Genesis era. Watching that trailer, like, and then watching that trailer and then like looking around me at the same time and like realizing, like, for me, it kind of started with those early Sonic Genesis games. And now I'm at this point at E3, and I just kind of like started looking around and like realizing where I was. And I was like, holy crap, man. Wow. Like, I got like choked up for a second. I wasn't like crying or anything like that, but it was like, I had the feels. And for like the first time, not the first time, because there had been a couple of other moments where it was really kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here. But that was like, that moment there really stood out to me, like towards the end of the show, where I was just kind of like very excited and realizing like how far I had come to like get to this point. And now I'm like by no means like made it or anything. I made it to E3, whoop-de-doo. Which is an achievement, I guess, in itself. Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of myself for getting there, because I always wanted to do that. So that's one thing I can check off in the list of like where I want to go and where I want to be. So I don't know. It was kind of like a mirror of like seeing like where I started and now seeing where I am, and that kind of like was cool for me, I guess.
It was poetic.
Yeah, it was cool, and it also made me excited for Sonic Mania. Very much looking forward to that game, dude.
Then yeah, the last question I had for you was kind of the counter to that one, was the worst part about E3. Besides a public admittance, because I know you complained about that with me on the day one of the show floor.
Yeah, it kind of sucked. It got better. Thursday was way better. I think a lot of people who went potentially on like Tuesday and Wednesday realized by Thursday, wow, I'm not going to play anything. This blows. Like I had a friend who was there who went as public and he went as public. I think he said he played 4 or 5 games over the span of 3 days. So
that's wild.
It wasn't great. They did nothing to accommodate for them. I mean, they had the Coliseum thing, but like you can watch those panels from home. There's really no benefit to being there in real life for that stuff. The worst part, there was a lot of walking. Like I was fine with it though. My feet were killing me, but a lot of walking. I probably did like 20 to 30 miles worth of walking over the span of the week. 6 days that I was there.
Saturday to Thursday. So yeah, 5-6 days.
Other crummy thing, not eating all day. It was actually fine. Like I packed some Cliff Bars and stuff, and I like eat those throughout the middle of the day. But it wasn't really like I was hungry throughout the day. Like I was so busy that I was not thinking about it. It was nothing that was even on my mind. But after the show closed each night, I was like, I'm starving. I need food. And we would go eat, and I would eat like so quick and so much that I think it like made me sick. So there was a couple nights where like after we had finished eating and stuff, I was like, I do not feel good. And then I would still have to go home and stay up a little bit late and work on some stuff and work on previews and things like that. So that wasn't, I don't know if that was a bad thing, but there was a couple instances where I was like, whoa, I do not feel good. I feel really lightheaded. I need to eat some food or not eat as much food as I just did in one sitting or something like that.
Slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
I get it.
I don't know. I mean, on the other side of that, if I was to say best thing, I don't know if I said a best thing, but just seeing the excitement in the eyes of the developers as well. I didn't talk about Sea of Thieves. I can remind me another week and I'll talk about that. We're actually going to have a preview up on the site soon enough for Sea of Thieves. So just keep an eye out for that. It actually works best as a 4-person piece anyway, rather than me just giving my take. Right. I did hear Jared say though that it plays better than it would ever demo. I totally agree with that. It's fun to play with friends. Seeing the excitement in the eyes of the developers though, as we were there, was like really cool. Just seeing something they've slaved away on for so long finally like come to fruition to a point where the public or you or whoever can actually physically play it by themselves and like tool around and figure out their own things within the world that you made. That was really cool to see. And when we gave developers certain awards for their games as well, like they were always like to me, I was like, no one's going to care about this DualShockers award or something like that. It's not like we're an IGN or something like that. Nah, dude, like anytime we gave them an award, like they were like blown away and like just incredibly happy, because it was like years and years of their life had been poured into this game that they'd been working on, and then to have them finally like receive an honor for it of some sort was like incredible to them, and that was really cool to see. I enjoyed all of that, interacting with the developers and talking to them, and just the people I met too, like a lot of developer and publisher side and PR side. And then just other people who were there attending media or whatever. Like there was a lot of cool people we met and ran into. So I really enjoyed that part of it as well.
That's awesome. I'm so proud and stoked for you that you got to go. Do you plan on going next year?
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see where things are at by then, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
they already announced days.
I'm not planning on leaving DualShockers or anything like that, but we'll have to see what money's like and what my life's like and where I'm writing or whatever the heck's going on by that time next year. So yeah, but I would like to. It's actually the one thing I'll say to you, way cheaper than I expected. Like
really, all you had to pay for is the plane ticket, the place to sleep,
and the plane and the hotel, which was food. Collectively like $600 or $700. I spent less than $1,000 on this trip,
and food,
which honestly is not bad. But the food and the Ubers and stuff like that, like we were splitting that. There were so many open food places, like where we were getting food for free and stuff like that. Like anytime I started to get hungry, it seemed like we went to a place where they're like free food. Like they had free food at the Microsoft press event and at the Sony conference and at the Bethesda party. Like I was getting free food pretty regularly, honestly. Yeah. So That actually was nice. I didn't spend that much food wise or again, like travel wise, Ubers and stuff like that. We would just split the cost with that. I probably spent like 150, 170 bucks out there. Honestly, it was probably like an $800 or $900 trip, which I did not even eclipse 1,000, which I thought I would easily.
Yeah.
It's definitely doable if you want to go next year, dude.
I'll keep it in mind.
So
keeping it
just
in
work
mind for a
towards
long
it.
time.
I
I
will.
will.
Some money away. Took that money away. Yeah, but
Why
now you
not
got
mattress?
PSX and PAX West are coming up. I would like to go to both of those. We'll see.
Get your plane ticket now. You know the dates for PSX.
So I got to figure out a bunch of things school wise though. And I told you about that. So
Who needs school? Says the college graduate.
maybe news in the future that I will share on this show. But yeah, ton of fun. Enjoyed going.
Awesome.
If you don't have anything else, I guess I can close this out.
I think that's it for me, man.
Sorry if my voice is kind of monotone this week. Kind of still tired and all that stuff. So hopefully it was good for. Was it good for you and at home? Let me know. Closing out.
Close us.
Thanks
Take
for
us
listening
home.
to Millennial Gaming Speak, episode number 97. We are a weekly video game podcast that is a part of ModelCitizensMedia.com. You can find all of our other podcasts over on that website over there, like the Model Citizen Show, which was really late to be posted this past week. I'm sorry about that. That is totally my fault, but we will. We'll be good about that moving forward. That's our only late upload we've had so far. We'll be recording episode 13 this week, and we'll have that up on Friday. Reeling in the Years is the music podcast that both Michael Ruiz and myself do. I don't know when we're going to bring that one back from hiatus or whatever either, because there is like I don't know. We'll see. There's some other stuff I got to get through this week as well before we bring that one back. But keep an eye out. And then Behind the Pixel with Max Roberts, we've got our interview up with Danny O'Dwyer, who I talked to
At the Bethesda
land party. Yeah, I saw him there. I saw him a couple times actually, but I only talked to him at the Bethesda party. Maybe we will talk to him soon as well. Maybe hint, hint. Hey,
Wink, nudge, knock, knock.
Yeah, we'll try to figure something out with that.
His Final Fantasy doc goes up, I think, this week.
Does it? He did a lot of editing this past week, so it might. Yeah, but we'll keep you posted with Danny if there are things to keep you posted with. And then, so yeah, you can find all those shows on Model Citizens Media or on iTunes, Stitcher, in this show's case, SoundCloud, and also on Google Play. You can follow this show on Twitter at MGS Podcast, where we tweet out the links to the shows and when we're going live, as well as tweeting out the links to the MP3s once those are up. You can also follow Model Citizens on Twitter at Model Pods to find all of our other podcasts that we tweet out when those go live. You can follow Max on Twitter. He is at Max the White. And you can follow myself on Twitter. I am at Moreman12. You can email this show at mgspodcast@gmail.com if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Did you go to E3? How was it for you? Were you media or public? I'm actually kind of curious. So let me know there. Or do you want to go next year? Is there anything else you want to know about my trip? Maybe we can talk about that next week. Hit us up with all those questions or whatever over at mgspodcast@gmail.com. And then we're on YouTube as well, where we record the shows live, at least for the foreseeable future. That might be changing. We'll keep you posted with that. We will still put the shows up on YouTube, but I don't know if we're going to do the live thing for so much longer. We've got episode 100 coming up here soon. We are going to talk about
big changes.
Some things closer to that. Yeah, we want to do a big blowout episode for 100 and then maybe change a few things with the show's format and dynamic after that. But we'll figure those things out down the road. But yeah, like, share, comment, all the lame YouTube stuff you got to say. It helps. And then iTunes reviews too. I always hit on that. But if you could leave us an iTunes review for this show over at iTunes, that would be very much appreciated and helps us get the show in more people's ears and helps our listenership grow every week. I think that's it for the post E3 episode. I'm glad I was awake enough to do this. I have a bunch of stuff to do actually the rest of the night, so I'm going to be up late probably. E3 is good. A bunch of good things happen. It was actually a great E3 too. And I want to say that, like, I've heard a lot of negative things about, like, oh, the conferences suck. The conferences were fine. Honestly, the level of, like, craftsmanship and, like, the tier of like video games we are getting over the next year is like staggering to me though. Like we are in such a good time for video games.
It's a
and
prime.
I don't think that can be overstated. Like we are in the prime years of not only these consoles, but I also think maybe the best stretch of releases that I have seen maybe in my entire life for games so far.
It's pretty
Like
crazy.
it is really insane how many top tier games are coming out one right after another. So if it didn't look great for you sitting at home watching the conferences and things like that, trust me, as a person who went hands-on with a lot of notable games that are coming out later this year and early next year, we're in good hands. There are a lot of great things coming that you should be excited for. So don't worry. Anything else from you, Max?
That's everything, man.
We'll be back next week with episode 98, more of a normal episode. We'll have to see what happens with news and things like that. Now that E3 has ended, I don't really know how that's going to shake down. We're entering the dark days. Remember last year when we did our top 10 games of all time series to make up for the lack of news?
Dun,
So
dun,
yeah,
dun.
we've been in the prime news days, but maybe not so much moving forward. Anyway, we will talk to you soon. We will see you next week with episode number 98. And until then, we love you. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Farewell.